Imagine waking up one morning, stepping outside, and finding your entire town, every single person, completely vanished. No trace, no struggle, just gone. What if I told you this wasn't the plot of a horror movie, but a terrifying reality that unfolded in a remote corner of Canada, leaving behind a mystery that has baffled investigators for nearly a century? In November of 1930, an entire Inuit village, nestled on the shores of Angikuni Lake, simply ceased to exist. Their camps were still there, half-eaten meals on tables, tools where they were last left, but the people themselves, numbering over 30, had vanished into thin air. How could an entire community without a single whisper disappear without a trace? To understand this chilling enigma, we must first set the stage. The year is 1930. The remote Canadian wilderness, particularly the vast, unforgiving territory stretching towards the Arctic Circle, was a place of extreme isolation. Communication was scarce, travel arduous, and communities often existed in a self-sufficient bubble, months away from external contact. It was within this harsh, beautiful, and utterly remote landscape that a fur trapper named Joe Labelle made his regular rounds. Labelle was a seasoned outdoorsman, intimately familiar with the land and the small scattered Inuit settlements that dotted its frozen expanse. He knew what to expect: the welcoming smoke from fires, the barking of sled dogs, the familiar faces. But on this particular journey, as he approached the Inuit village on Angikuni Lake, a chilling silence hung in the air. This silence wasn't just unusual, it was deeply unsettling. As Labelle drew closer, his apprehension grew. There was no movement, no sound. The camp appeared deserted, a ghost town in the making. He pushed through the entrance to the first igloo, and what he saw sent a shiver down his spine. The fire in the hearth was out, but personal belongings were scattered everywhere, as if the inhabitants had simply stepped away for a moment. Partially eaten meals sat on cold tables. Even more disturbing, rifles, precious tools in this harsh environment, were leaning against walls, untouched. It was as if life had stopped mid-sentence. He checked another dwelling, then another. Each one told the same unnerving story: an abrupt, inexplicable abandonment. There were no signs of struggle, no blood, no footprints leading away from the village in any discernible pattern, certainly not enough to account for over 30 people, including women and children. Adding another layer to the unnerving tableau, several sled dogs were found starved to death, despite ample food stores clearly visible. Why would a community leave their invaluable dogs to perish, especially in a place where survival often depended on them? And perhaps most bizarre of all, at the edge of the camp, Labelle discovered a string of 7 dead dogs, tied together, presumably by their owners, who had then vanished. This wasn't a sudden flight. It was something far more sinister and incomprehensible. Labelle, deeply disturbed, immediately set out to report his findings. It took him days of grueling travel to reach the nearest telegraph office. Soon, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police were alerted, and a full investigation was launched. What the Mounties discovered only deepened the mystery. Their initial survey confirmed Labelle's account: a completely abandoned village, perfectly preserved, yet utterly devoid of human life. The food caches were untouched, boats were pulled ashore, and personal items lay exactly where they'd been left. It solidified the image of an instantaneous disappearance, as if every soul had simply winked out of existence at the precise same moment. But then the horrors began to compound. During their methodical search, investigators made a gruesome discovery. Several Inuit graves on the outskirts of the village had been disturbed. The stones covering them were scattered, and the bodies inside, it seemed, had been meticulously removed. But why? Who would go to the trouble of excavating graves, only to leave no other trace of their activity? This wasn't grave robbing, it was something far more deliberate and chilling. It suggested not just a disappearance, but an active, calculated removal. As the investigation continued, local trappers and prospectors, often the only witnesses in this desolate region, began to share their own disturbing observations. Over the days leading up to the discovery of the empty village, multiple individuals reported strange, unexplained phenomena in the skies above Angikuni Lake. Stories emerged of huge, glowing blue objects, silently traversing the sky at incredible speeds. One trapper claimed to have seen a massive cylindrical object emitting a pulsating blue light, hovering silently over the lake for an extended period, just nights before Labelle's discovery. These accounts, initially dismissed as wilderness fantasies or misidentifications, began to take on a terrifying coherence when viewed through the lens of the vanished village. Could the two be connected? Were these strange aerial phenomena linked to the vanishing of an entire community? As the cold grip of winter tightened around Angikuni Lake, the investigation reached a chilling impasse. The RCMP, despite their extensive resources, found no conventional explanation. No tracks leading away from the village, no signs of a struggle or a forced evacuation, no evidence of a disease outbreak, and no indication that anyone had left voluntarily. The disturbed graves remained an unfathomable component of the puzzle, a sacrilege that baffled even the most hardened investigators. What force could have not only made an entire community disappear but also meticulously exhumed its dead? This wasn't a simple mass vanishing. It was a deliberate, almost surgical removal of both the living and the dead. And then there were the escalating reports of the strange lights, not just isolated incidents, but increasingly frequent sightings reported by multiple credible witnesses in the surrounding areas. Trappers spoke of a strange, almost tangible hum in the air, electric charges that made their hair stand on end, and an eerie, pervasive silence that descended over the landscape in the days leading up to the discovery. Some even claimed to have seen shadowy figures moving in the distance, figures that were not human. The RCMP themselves, while officially maintaining a stance of skepticism, reportedly encountered unexplainable atmospheric conditions and electromagnetic disturbances around the lake, phenomena that defied conventional scientific understanding. There were even rumors, never officially confirmed but whispered among the locals, that military personnel, not just local police, were deployed to the region, indicating a level of governmental concern far beyond a simple missing persons case. The narrative began to shift from a simple disappearance to something far more profound and unsettling, something that hinted at forces beyond human comprehension. The climax of this terrifying saga wasn't a discovery, but the complete and utter lack thereof. No bodies, no definitive answers, just an escalating sense of dread and an ever-growing list of impossible clues. The blue lights, the missing graves, the instantaneous vanishing, it all painted a picture of an event so extraordinary, so far outside the realm of normal experience, that it beggared belief. The vast, empty landscape held its secrets close, offering no closure, only a deepening abyss of questions. To this day, the vanishing village of Angikuni Lake remains one of Canada's most enduring and baffling mysteries. The official RCMP report, while acknowledging the inexplicable nature of the event, ultimately concluded that without any concrete evidence, the case was closed, unresolved. Numerous theories have been proposed, each more speculative than the last. Some suggest a mass abduction by extraterrestrial forces, citing the corroborating accounts of strange lights in the sky. Others point to a rare, hyper-localized natural phenomenon, perhaps a supertoxic gas release or a highly unusual atmospheric inversion that could disorient and incapacitate an entire population, though this fails to explain the disturbed graves or the lack of any subsequent remains. Even more outlandish theories speak of interdimensional portals or an ancient malevolent entity known in local Inuit folklore, which could snatch people from our reality. What truly happened on that desolate shore in 1930? Was it a mass hallucination, a carefully orchestrated hoax, or something far more terrifying and utterly alien? We may never know the truth. The story of Angikuni Lake serves as a chilling reminder that sometimes the most profound mysteries are not those with complex answers, but those with no answers at all, leaving behind only the cold, hard fact of an entire village simply gone. If you want more mysteries like this, the next video explores the inexplicable disappearance of the Flannan Isle lighthouse keepers, a case with equally unsettling parallels. Until then, sleep tight.